Greetings everyone. This is the video to explain to you how the food diary project goes. And so if you will follow along here, I am in my pretend classroom, or I'm a member of as a student. And if you're in classwork, you'll see in the topic of nutrition, it's 1C food diary project. Now, if you watched the video on how to navigate through a unit, some of this may be familiar to you because I talked a little bit about it in there, the very beginning of it, but this will go from the first to the last of how to do this project. So click on this, open, or to see that. There's one button that says rubric. This is how it's going to be graded, so I'll look at that lastly. Then you have a file with the Google Slides of the instructions, and then a separate file here of Google Sheets. That's where you're going to be putting in your food and drink for each day. So I'm going to start with the Google Slides at the beginning. So click open that, and you will see sorry about that. You'll see here your opening picture, and then the very first slide gives you some just background information. It says the project will involve you keeping a diary of everything you eat and drink for 3 days. So if you haven't started it yet, if you notice in the announcement, I'm going to extend the due dates for this until next Wednesday. So if you haven't started it at all yet, you can, start your diary today and go through 3 24-hour periods, or start tomorrow. You'll have plenty of time to get it done in time. But don't wait until Tuesday to try to do it there. Okay, there are several parts to the project. Each part will have a set details slide in this deck. So part 1 is a pre-evaluation form. That's the next slide. Part 2 is the food diary, which is on that separate Google Sheets file that was in Classroom. Part 3 is your nutrition of your food diary using a tracker. You'll also put that on the Google Sheet. And then part 4 is analyzing the nutritional information you get that's on the Google Sheet. You'll also be provided a rubric, which I already mentioned to you before earlier. So let's look at this part 1. Go to the next slide. It says part 1, pre-activity evaluation. On the next slide is a sheet for you to begin with. Please be very honest. Your grade will not come from what you eat. This is a no judgment zone. I am not going to go through and look at everything that you eat and say, oh, well, you're going to fail because you only ate junk food. I'm not going to do that. So be honest. This is for your information. The goal, it says, for you is to really take a look at your nutrition and give you the tools to make it better if you choose to do so. That's the goal of this project. Well, let's look at the next slide then. So here's your food diary analysis pre-evaluation. So it's just basically 4 questions. And on these slides, I will give you information in a text box with red writing to draw your attention. So if you're not sure what to do, read over here too. That'll give you a hint. Number 1, how would you rate your current eating habits? Use the scale below. So is it not healthy at all? Is it average, or is it very healthy? It says double click in the box where you fall in the range and type an X. I would say I'm at average, so double click and just put an X there. Okay, so that's how you would answer that one. Number 2, give some examples of healthy food choices you make on a regular basis. So just double click in the box. So I don't eat a lot of sugar. Okay, that's one thing. Could be some, I could spell here, sugar. Number 3, give some examples of unhealthy food choices you make. Sometimes I eat a lot of bread. Overall, do you feel that your eating habits should be changed? Why or why not? So just say, yes, I do. No, I don't, but tell me why. There's 2 parts to that one. So when you finish with that, you're done with part 1. So then I can go to part 2, the food diary. So it says for 3 24-hour periods, beginning with your first meal of the day, record everything you eat or drink on the spreadsheet attached to the Google Classroom assignment. Don't forget gum or candy. It says try to be as specific as possible on amounts. This will be recorded in the quantity column. The next slide has some pictures and descriptions of approximate quantities of different food items. If you have a pile of green beans on your plate and you're not sure how much it is, if you don't want to get out a measuring cup and measure it, you can use these sheets on the next slides. I'll show you in just a second to approximate that as best as possible. If you eat something from a restaurant, you can find info on their website a lot of times. Or if you eat something from a package, you've got a nutrition label right there. You can just type stuff in on your spreadsheet. If you cook at home, don't forget to add anything extra. Like if you put a couple tablespoons of butter in there, then make sure you put in there that you maybe consumed a teaspoon. This is all very approximate, an approximate amount. And you'll see on the spreadsheet, I'll open it here in a minute, are the columns for calories, fat grams, etc. Don't worry about filling those in right now unless you want to and you have a nutrition label. If you've eaten a granola bar and you can see the nutrition label, then it's sitting right in front of your face. Go ahead and type in those amounts on your spreadsheet now so you don't have to worry about doing that later. If you look at the next slide, these are just some pictures, visual pictures of what things look like. So about a baseball size, like this, your fist, that's about the size of 1 cup. Like if you're doing rice, pasta, fruit, veggies, look at the pile on your plate, put your hand down there and go, well, it's about the size of my fist. I'll say that's a cup. Or if it's a tennis ball, your palm, that's about 1/2 cup. A deck of cards, kind of like your palm, that's a serving or 3 ounces of meat. A handful, like the size of 1 egg, 1 large egg, like let's say nuts, that's about 1 ounce. If you do 2 of them, that's 2 ounces. A ping pong ball is like the size of your thumb or the size of your thumb. That would be like 1 ounce of peanut butter or cheese. Then the tip of your thumb, I have no idea what that is, but like the tip of your thumb, that's about a teaspoon. So look at the tip of your thumb if you're not sure, like on butter or oil or mayonnaise or syrup or whatever. The next slide, slide 7, gives you some written out things. A lot of it's the same as the picture, but if you'd rather see a picture, that's slide 6. But a teaspoon is about the size of your top half of your thumb. 1 ounce gives you different things to look at as far as what 1 ounce is, approximately 2 ounces, 3 ounces. Okay, if you have a small hamburger, it's about 3 ounces of meat, 1/2 cup, and 1 cup. A medium apple is about like a tennis ball. So these are ways to help you approximate the quantity of foods that you're eating if you don't have a nutrition label. Slide 8, then, that's part 3. So this part 2 is your food diary. So let's go back to classwork and open up the food diary sheets. So double click that or click it to open it. Your name will be here at the top already. The first sheet gives you in colors some information. It says this form will be used to log all the food and drink you eat in the next 3 days. In red, it says, notice there is a tab for each day. Okay, if you're not familiar with spreadsheets or Google Sheets, it's basically a notebook. Think of it that way. And down here, there are different tabs that you can open to a new sheet in your notebook. So I've named this one information. You see where it says day 1 here at the bottom. Click on that, and that's your day 1 sheet. Day 2 and day 3. They all look the same. So these are the tabs I'm talking about. Go back to the information sheet. It says the sheet is formatted so that the totals are calculated for you in the last row that says total. Do not type anything in this row or you will mess up the formatting and will have to add it all up yourself. So let's go back. Day 1. Look at the very bottom where it says totals. Here it's kind of in gray. Do not enter anything in this row. It will do it automatically. Okay, so I've just formatted these. These are called cells to add up itself. As you're listing the date and the meal and the items here, you're going to have numbers for each of these: calories, carbohydrates, fat grams, saturated fat, protein, cholesterol, sodium, fiber, and sugar. You're going to be either finding this information on your label or on a separate website here, and I'll show you in a minute. But all these numbers are going to be added for you automatically because I formatted the sheet to do that. I have a couple of examples here. My first thing, I didn't fill in the item, but let's say it had 54 calories. The second item has 200. Notice at the bottom it says 254. So I'm going to put 35 is the next thing. So look at the bottom. It says 254. When I hit the enter button, it adds it for me, 289. So I did this to help you. You don't have to fill in, you don't have to go through with a calculator or your phone and add all these things up. It'll do it for you. If you get to the end and you don't have any lines left, any rows before this one, before you do anything, just send me a message and I'll help you fix that, okay, if you don't know how. So that's the spreadsheet. Go back to the info. It says in blue, be as specific as possible. In the Google Slides, there are a couple pages to help you estimate quantities if you do not know them. Those are the sheets I just showed you. And finally, in yellow, don't lie about what you're consuming. I'm not going to go through and judge you or actually, see that closely what you're eating or drinking and not drinking. So just be honest. I'm not, seriously, not going to judge you. So this is the spreadsheet. So day one, I'm going to start tomorrow. Excuse me, tomorrow's May 1st. So I would pretend like it's that morning, May 1st. And the BLDS is breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack. So for breakfast, I'm going to eat some bacon. And let's say I have 2 slices. So I'm going to put 2 slices here. I'm just going to make up a number here. Let's say they have 100 calories per slice. I don't know yet. I'm just going to delete that because I don't know yet. I made this from home. Next, I had some fried eggs. Fried eggs. And I had 2. Let me get rid of that because I'm going to come back and show you that. I also had a piece of toast. So it was a wheat bread. And I had 1 slice. And then I had some coffee. And I put some cream in it. So I put heavy cream. And I didn't measure, but I was about it, just a bit based on the approximation things that I posted there. It's probably about 1 tablespoon. So TBSP is your abbreviation for tablespoon. Coffee, I had 16 ounces. Okay, that was my breakfast for Friday. So I'm just going to leave it at this. I'll come back to it when we get to that section of the project. Okay. Now, this is automatically saved in your Google Drive. So you don't have to keep this tab open all the time. You can X out of it. It automatically saves it for you. I'm going to leave it open for the purposes of the video so I can come back to it quickly to get some information. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this. My Google Slides. I've entered everything in my food diary, so now it's time for part 3. Okay, so it says in this part, you will use MyFitnessPal to get info on the food in your diary that you could not get from a label or from a restaurant's website. My breakfast, bacon, scrambled eggs, or fried eggs and all that, that was stuff I didn't use from a package, so I don't know. I'm going to have to go look it up. So you're going to go to this website. So let me, I didn't activate it. Okay. So click on a new tab in your computer. It's myfitnesspal.com. So myfitnesspal.com. Open that up. So we're at the website. Go back to the directions. It says at the very top, you'll see the word food. I'm going to click on that link and you'll see a search option. So go back, click on food, and here's my search right here. Okay, if you look then, you're supposed to type in the food or drink you're trying to find, and you'll get a list with options. So let's go back to my food diary, and I did fried eggs for an option. So I need to look up, oh, I forgot to put in here, I fried them in butter. So you have to include that in your food diary. So butter, I used probably 1 teaspoon. TSP is my abbreviation. So let me type in butter, because again, I don't know, I didn't have any packages for this, so I'm going to have to look it up. So type in butter in the search bar, hit your enter button, and you have some options here. So it says there's several different ones I could pick. I'm just going to pick this one up here. Whoa, 1 pat. That's not correct. So here's, this one is 2 teaspoons, has this many calories. Okay, so I'm going to click here. You can actually change in this drop down menu, you can change the quantity. So I had a teaspoon. So this says that a teaspoon of butter has 33 calories, no carbs, 8 grams of fat, and no protein. So go back to your website. So 33, it had 33 calories, so type in 33. It had no carbs, it had 8 grams of fat. Don't know this yet. It's going to be saturated because it's butter. Protein, it had none. Let's go back here. It does say that sodium, it has 15. If you look here, this is your goal. They say not to go over. This number is how much it actually has. So 15, it had 15 grams of sodium. I can go back and pick that, put that in. 15. Basically, get what you can. Okay, cholesterol is 5 grams. So 5. Okay. Scroll here, you can see a little bit more. What else did we need to put? Let's see. Oh, fiber and sugar. It doesn't have any sugar. Doesn't have any carbs. It's not going to have any sugar. And let's see if it'll tell me fiber. It doesn't list fiber. It doesn't have any. Okay. It does say that the saturated fat was just 2. So let's go back and change that. And it didn't have any fiber. So that's my butter. Now I need to go back and do each thing. I'm going to do one more thing. Let's do bacon. So go back and you can click the search bar at the top, bacon. Oh look, 2 pieces of bacon, that's what I had. Now this may not be exactly the kind of bacon you had, but this is just an approximation. It's not like super precise. 2 pieces. I don't know what kind of bacon this is, but that doesn't seem... Oh, that's about right. Okay, we'll take that. So 2 pieces. Oh, there you go, 2 pieces. That makes sense now. 80 calories. It has 7 grams of fat and 5 grams of protein. So 80 calories. And it said it had 7 grams of fat, 5 grams of protein. Okay. Scroll down a little bit to see more stuff. There's 320 milligrams of sodium. Cholesterol was 15. It's right here. 15. Let's see if we get anything else. Fiber, no fiber. It does have 1 gram of sugar. Not sure where that comes from, but it could be the packaging, if it was a specific package, if they added stuff in there. Again, I'm not going to be super specific. Saturated fat was 2. Cholesterol, we got that. So saturated fat is 2. Said carbs was 0. What do we need? Fiber. See if we have any fiber. Oh, we said nothing. Okay, so that's basically what we have for that one. Fiber, 0. I'm not going to do every single one of these. It'll take too long on this video, but this is basically what you're doing. Notice all my totals are adding up here for me. Okay, so this is part 3. You're going to go, if you don't have the label, go to this website, type in things, and scroll through down here. Make sure your serving size is correct, so you'll get the right numbers. Okay, that is part 3. Let me read through here to see those. Yeah, that's pretty much all you're doing for part 3. So once you click on it, all of this gives you the details on what I just did, what I just showed you on MyFitnessPal. That's part 3. Part 4 then is the last thing. Before you begin your analysis, you'll need to look at your summary page from the nutrition web quest and the MyPlate plan that you generated. Okay, when you did the nutrition web quest, you were supposed to make a plan that said this is what you should have. You're going to open it up so you can toggle back and forth to that. I'm sorry. Okay, so then on the next slide, you're going to have 2 tables for each day. The next slide will give you examples and guidance. On the first table, you'll put your total grams for the day for fat, saturated fat, carbs, sugars, and proteins. We get this from our spreadsheet. Okay, so for this first day, my calories, if I didn't eat anything else, pretending I added it all up, this is where I'm going to use these numbers down here, the totals. Okay. You're going to calculate how many calories and the percent of your diet each nutrient would be. If you forgot how to do this, then you can go back and watch the other video I made at the top of the nutrition topic folder, or you can go back and look at the web quest. It talked to you about how to do that. On the second table, you're going to list your goal for each nutrient. This is the one that you figured out during the web quest. Okay, so let's look at this as a sample. This is an example. So my day 1 calculations table and day 1 recommendations table. So this is where I'm putting what I did. It says get your numbers for the grams column from your food diary spreadsheet. So on this particular one, I gave you an example. I had 67 grams of fat. And it came up to 603 calories, okay? Because I calculated this because on your fats, you take your grams, multiply by 9. 67 times 9 is equal to 603. So I had 603 calories for the day I got from fat grams. And the percentage of that, it tells you how to do it here. To calculate percentage, divide your calories of the nutrient, 603, by the total calories for the day. Where do I get that total? I get it back over here where the total is, okay? So let's say I ate 2,400 calories that day. 603 of it came from fat. So I take 603 divided by 2,400 times 100 would give me 25%. And so I put that there. So you're going to do that for these 5 nutrients. You get the gram numbers from the spreadsheet over here. Fat grams, carb grams, saturated fat, and protein. To do the dividing by the calories you get from there. This is the recommendations. Okay, so in the web quest on that very last slide, you came up with recommended amounts for each of these nutrients. And there you're going to get those numbers from there. So you're just going to copy the number for the recommended fat grams you're supposed to have based on your age and everything. Let's say mine was 70. That was the recommended. I got 67. Okay, my recommended calories from fat was 630. The one I got was 603. The recommended percentage that you're supposed to have from fat, it says is 25 to 35% of your diet should come from fat. And so I actually had 25%. I got it from there. So did I meet? Yes, I met, because the recommended is 25 to 35. If you say no here, you're going to tell me why, okay? And you're going to tell me, you're going to type in over, or you're going to type in the word under. If it was 40%, then I would put over. If it was 10%, I would put under. But you don't have to put anything here unless the answer to this is no. Okay? So again, these grayed out columns are coming from the summary chart on the Nutrition Web Quest. Let me open that up real quick to show you what I'm talking about. And you should have already done this before you've done this. That's why you needed to do this before. Okay, so let me go down. It said it was the last slide. So when you came down here, that last slide, these are your recommended amounts. Okay, so my recommended amount, that's the column here that I'm copying onto this, recommended grams, recommended calories, and recommended percentages. They are all here. Here's your grams, recommended calories, you calculated that, and then your percent. You either were given or calculated that. Looks like you're calculating carbs and proteins. So this is an example slide. The last 3 slides are yours to fill in with your actual data. So day 1, day 2, day 3. Okay, and then the last part, these are your final questions. Go back and look at your pre-evaluation. That was like the very first part. Based on what you learned from doing all this, were you accurate in your answers? Did you actually eat like you should? Or when you said you didn't eat that much sugar and then you actually calculated it, was it that maybe you did eat a lot of sugar? That's where you would put answers to that there. What areas of your diet showed some deficiencies? Were you lower in your recommendation of protein than you actually were? Put that there. And then how can you fix it if you chose to? Number 4, what areas of your diet are you doing really well in? Are you meeting or exceeding in a good way? Then do you think what you have learned will cause you to make any changes? Why or why not? If it's no, then that's fine. You said, I don't really care what I eat, then put that. Okay, you're going to attach your MyPlate plan to the Google Classroom assignment and turn that in. So this is how to go through each thing. One last thing I'm going to show you is the rubric. So go back, click on that button, and this tells you how I'm going to grade it. Your pre-evaluation filled in will be worth 15 points. Your food log, the spreadsheet, is worth 30 points, 10 points for each day. Nutrition analysis is worth 30 points. That's filling in your calories, grams, and all that stuff, and then those questions. All the calculations, the charts you're doing is the nutrition analysis, and then those 5 questions are your analysis questions. If you did not eat dinner for a day, then you need to put that in your food diary log. So breakfast, let's say for lunch, I didn't eat lunch. Put that here, skipped lunch. That way, if it's just blank, I'm going to assume you just didn't put it in your thing and take off points. So tell me if you skip something or anything weird, tell me that stuff in the food diary log. That way I don't assume that you're just choosing not to do it. Okay, I think that is good to help answer some of your questions and guide you on this. I have submitted a form if you want to participate in a Google Meet. After you started doing this, maybe you have some questions and answers. We can talk live. So fill that in and let me know what time on Monday. Is it 11 or 3 are your choices? And we'll go from there. Hope this has helped. Please let me know if you have any questions. Talk to you soon. Bye.